What happens when three runners
from different parts of the country
with different running stories
all get together?
Pure
RunTok
madness.
So listen in as we talk about all things running related.
And some things that maybe aren't running related.
As it's bound to be a good time. This is
RunTok Live. Okay, guys, I feel like I haven't introduced RunTok Live podcast in a second, but welcome to RunTok Live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
what up?
Wow.
If it means anything, Carolyn, I don't think. No, I've only introduced one podcast, which was just a couple weeks ago. So Chase has been the main voice of reason on this podcast in the beginning, anyways.
I don't know about voice of reason. That sounds a little scary.
I feel like you need to perfect your podcast voice. Welcome. Like, you know, that like announcer voice.
Oh, do it. There's
today
classes you can take.
Imagine in a world. I don't know.
Do you think we can get Delilah on here?
Honestly, we had a soon-to-be Olympian on here, so I think we could get love letters with Delilah.
Delilah.
I mean, we're developing some major street cred here, so yeah.
I know. We can't do love letters because we're all like married. So would she just comfort us on our races? Like, would she like be like, "You can do it, dream it"? Like, what would? I don't know.
The emotional support to get you through. Yeah.
Who would have thought that we would turn this quickly to non-running content? We're over 30 seconds in. We're already not talking about running. How great is this?
I mean, it's overrated, isn't it?
Yeah, well, fun fact for you listeners, Chase and I went on a 10-minute argument last week about the cast members of Friends. That I don't know if anyone won that argument, but it was interesting.
There wasn't an argument. You were wrong and I was right. It was
Listen, we got this on film. Okay, you guys were just like yapping at each other, and I'm like, record, because you can't. This is gold.
This is like a behind the scenes moment that we had going here last week after we got off the podcast. So what happened was Jake started talking, and I don't even remember why he brought it up, but he mentioned that Ross Geller was his favorite character on Friends. And that just, I've never heard anybody say that. I've never heard anybody say they liked Ross, let alone they were his favorite. That just blew me away.
You know where the people who like Ross are? They're on a break, Chase. So we don't even know where they are. Okay? It's just Jake.
Anyway,
I got Ross, right?
On this episode of RunTok Live.
On that note.
The one where we disagreed.
Oh, wow.
We need to do a previously on RunTok Live and do like a little clip. To be continued.
Never, because that's going to be an hour of a rant of Ross and then us rebuttaling. It's gonna be like a court case at this point. Like, we'll have stacks of evidence. Oh.
Okay. I got this. Don't worry about it. I'm not. You guys can't bully me. It's all right.
Feels nice to not be bullied for a change.
Oh, we're only 3 minutes in, Carolyn. Give it.
Like,
give
you guys
time,
are bashing Brooks. I'm great.
I'm chilling. Speaking of chilling, we've let our guest chill for too long. We've heard her ear with friend talk. But our guest this week is one of my favorite run talkers. She is a absolute beast. She's run 3 of the world marathon majors, including Chicago and New York this year. Please welcome Cynthia Wheeler.
Cynthia J. Wheeler.
Yeah,
sorry,
that would be me. I need to say, if I had to pick a favorite Friends character, it would be Rachel. because fun fact, and I have to go find a picture, but in the 90s, I rocked the Rachel do for many, many years. I had the Rachel, you know?
Nice.
It's scary now to think that I had that do, but can't go wrong.
I mean,
Can't go
I'm not
wrong.
going to knock you for Rachel. As long as, well, let me ask you this: where does Ross rank on your list?
He's the last. The
Cynthia,
absolute
all right.
last. I'm sorry, Jacob.
Well,
I can't go there with
certainly
you.
enjoyed our time with you here today, Cynthia, and
I'll be leaving now.
oh man,
Thank you, Cynthia, for solidifying that argument, nailing that one.
Well, you guys started it. I had to jump in.
Okay. Cynthia, I can't tell. Do we have pink hair right now, or a little bit of pink still in there?
I thought I had a hair appointment last weekend, and I was in New York last weekend, so I was like, maybe I don't. But I have one coming, so it's kind of got a purple pink in it right now, but it is mad faded, and it needs help. So
because I think last time I saw you, or we saw you on camera, you were rocking full pink at that point.
Yeah, I've been full pink. This had like blonde at the root, and then it went ombre to pink, but it is faded a lot. And I've run 2 marathons in it, so it's kind of like, yeah, we're done with that. Don't know where we're going next.
All right.
That was going to be my next question.
I don't know. I feel like I want something holiday. Somebody asked me about Boston, what I thought about Boston. Everybody's comparing Boston to Chicago to New York. Like once you get on the journey of the stars and you get another star, people are like, what do you think of this one compared to that one? And I went back and looked at my Boston pictures because Boston feels like a blur. But I was rocking the full unicorn for Boston. And I was like, that was a really cool do. Like, maybe if I could do like a unicorn version with a holiday flavor, that might be fun. I don't know. You never know.
Well, Cynthia, tell the listener, introduce. I know Carolyn just did your brief intro, but tell us a little bit about you, who you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just jumped right into the Ross Rachel conversation. How long have it? My name is Cynthia Wheeler. I am a run vlogger on TikTok and Instagram. My handle is Cynthia J. Wheeler. I am currently on a journey to run all the World Marathon Majors. I've got 3 stars, Boston, Chicago, and New York. I started my TikTok during the pandemic, and it has really, like, my TikTok is the reason I ran Boston. I think it's the reason I ran Chicago too, although I've run other Chicagos. But joining the RunTok community, I think definitely changed the trajectory of what I was doing and where I was going. And I absolutely love it. And it's a lot of fun. Carolyn, I got to meet you in real life in Chicago. That was a treat. And I'm not a run streaker. Mad respect to all the run streakers. I am a 4 days a week runner and a strength trainer in between. That works for me.
Yeah, you said 3 stars. You're about to, well, hopefully, you just mentioned it, hopefully adding a 4th star to that with Berlin here soon.
Yeah, Berlin's on the horizon. Because I didn't get into Tokyo and I didn't get into London. So those 2, we'll push those to 2025 and keep our fingers crossed. But I think Berlin is the next one.
So did you apply to get into the lottery for London and Tokyo as well?
I did apply to the lottery, but then a friend of mine who's done them all hit me up in the DMs on Instagram and said, hey, go check this out. It's one of those marathon tour groups. And she's like, they're great. And you get an entry with them. So I just got an email from them saying, hey, go save your spot. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I don't really understand how it works, but I'm on this list and we'll see if I get in Berlin's already turned me down twice. So here's hoping I get into Berlin. But if I don't, I hope that I can get in with this tour group. I feel like those international marathons, especially Tokyo, I think I would do a tour group with Tokyo too, because logistically, they take you to the start line and they book your hotel. And you know what I'm saying? It's like an all-inclusive package, which, I barely got around New York. My husband had to chauffeur me around. It's like they literally, my husband and my son took me on the train down to the ferry. They rode the ferry with me, and then they said goodbye to me, and I got on the buses. But I need a chauffeur. I get lost. I get confused. I freak out. So I feel like a tour group for the international marathons might be helpful. Although Berlin seems almost doable. London, but Tokyo is a little intimidating. So I don't know.
So I would say that Berlin is like fairly easy to get around, especially on like English. If you're concerned about that. But this past year, at least to what I can speak to, the starting area was kind of a nightmare.
Really?
So,
why?
Yeah. So they had the whole park. And I've never ran New York, so I can't say for sure that it's like a fair comparison. But like the Tier Garden there is like Central Park for New York, and that's where you start and finish at. So it's like closed off to the rest of the city, but then you're also like it's so big that you're navigating inside of there to get to your starting area and whatnot. So, but that's where I ran into Craig Engels and Grant Fisher. So that was a pretty cool experience. But other than that, it was
that's pretty
chaos.
cool.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. But other than that, like total chaos. People were climbing fences and whatnot. I mean, there was no need for it, but it was just pretty crazy.
I feel like everyone was at Berlin this year. I feel like I saw a lot of folks online. Like, didn't Kofuzi go to Berlin? I feel like a lot of folks went to Berlin.
I don't think Kofuzi was there.
Who did I? God, I feel like I watched so many people in Berlin, but not all of them were running. A lot of them now go and do footage. Like Kofuzi was in New York, but he wasn't running. They go, they do shakeout runs, they do coverage, but they aren't always running now.
Right.
I thought he did Berlin, but maybe I have that wrong.
No, I don't think he was there.
But
I'm
addicted to watching TikTok when there's a major going on. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I love watching everyone run Berlin and everyone run London. And Tokyo looked so darn cool. Like, it looked like a really cool marathon. So I'm looking forward to doing them. I just need a handler.
Tokyo is probably the one, the foreign one of the majors that I'm looking forward to the most.
How many have you? Who's on the major journey? Has anyone done them all?
I think we all are to an extent. We just haven't done them all.
Yeah.
I've got Boston and Berlin.
I've got Chicago. We got Chicago. Chase?
No, I'm not done Chicago.
Oh, I thought you did Chicago.
No.
Oh, well.
I did the Rock and Roll half marathon in Chicago when they had that. But they don't have that anymore.
Carolyn's done Chicago.
Yeah, I've done it twice.
Mm-hmm.
But you haven't done Boston. So that's your only one so far, right, Carolyn?
Yeah.
And I've got Boston and Chicago. That's it, actually.
So yeah.
We have no New York marathons in the house.
And I lived in New York too. I never did it. It never, of the 6, it's probably like the one I'm least excited about, but I think part of that's because I lived there and I've seen it, and I feel like I've experienced it without running it, so it's like not the top of my priority.
I loved it. I'm gonna tell you, I legit loved New York. It was very special. Like, it was, I can't put my finger on it. I did a compare contrast between Chicago and New York. Getting to the start line, mad stressful, just go early, because it's a journey. You know what I'm saying? You take a train, you take a ferry, you take a bus, and you wait in a line for every one of them. And then they fully wand you. Like, every single person that gets off that bus, they do like they have the police force there, and they fully wand everyone to make sure no one's got any medal or anything, which I've never seen at a marathon. I've never seen them do that. So when you're in the start area, it is the safest place on earth as far as I'm concerned, because every single person has gone through the wand.
They do that same thing with the New Year's Eve.
Do they?
The ball drop, yeah.
I feel like maybe New York is just really cautious now, and understandably so.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a while. You just got to give it time. And then that Verrazano Bridge looms in front of you because that's the start line. And I was scared to death of that bridge because I'm scared of bridges. You know what I mean? And I was on the top because some folks were on the top, some folks were on the bottom. And I was like, okay, I'm running the top. And that's really good for photo ops, but I'm mad nervous about this. So I just stayed in the middle, didn't look anywhere else. It was really fun.
Right
That's what I hear from everybody because, and I always say the same thing. I make the same argument, but when I look at New York from an outside perspective, I see what you were just saying, Cynthia, the start, the morning of, all the stuff that you have to go through to get to the island before the race even starts. I mean, how long were you over there?
Yeah,
in the
I
morning?
had a start time.
How many hours?
I was in wave 4. I had a start time of 10:55. I left the hotel at 6 in the morning. So I left at 6. I'd say I caught that ferry by 6:30. The bus line was the longest thing they had. I got to the start village at about 9:15. And that was good for me because I need to do all my things. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I need to eat my bagel and I need to queue up in the bathroom line 5 times. You know what I mean? It's like I just need to do all my things. So I got there early, but my fear was that if I had cut another hour off of my leave time, I would be pushing it. You know what I mean? Like you want to get there and have time because if you're running late, you can't speed up because you're stuck in the queue every step of the way, you know? So it's a lot.
I think I see that.
Chicago is
and
way easier.
Like that just was it. See, I compare it to Boston and like going out to Hopkinton, and like that was a nightmare to me. Like I did not enjoy that very much.
It's worse than Boston.
So
yeah.
So to think about like that, basically tenfold for New York, it just it makes me not want to go to New York. But everybody that has run New York, everybody has loved it, said how amazing it is. So it still remains at the back of the list for me, but I'm trying to psych myself up for it.
I have my medal in my desk. It's an awesome medal. Look at that.
It is pretty sweet.
It's a sweet medal. And someone in my TikToks, I think it was Marshall Marathoners, they're twins. She's really, one of them is, I don't remember which one it was, but she got nauseous during the race. And she's like, that medal was the only thing that got me to the finish line. I was at mile 17. I threw up, but that medal was at the finish line and I was going to finish that race. It's worth it.
Well, are you going to do Chicago again next year, Cynthia?
How far is Chicago? I feel like, are Chicago and Berlin like a week away?
They're very close, like a couple weeks away.
They're very quick. I feel like I pushed it doing Chicago and New York, and that was like 4 weeks. I don't think I can do them both. I think I might be cheering you guys on in Chicago. Like, Berlin's first, but I feel like there's only a week in there. I don't think I can do back-to-back marathons. What do you guys think about back-to-back marathons?
Yeah, this year it was 2 weeks separated. So
yeah, that's tight. Although I'm lying through my teeth, I'm in the lottery. I'm in the lottery for Chicago. What am I thinking? Yeah. So you never know.
I was going to say, so you are registered, or you're in the lottery for Chicago.
I am in the lottery because I can't help myself.
Yeah.
I need. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's kind of like Billy. I run Chicago, right? He says he's not going to do it, but I think he said that the last 2 years.
Every year. Yeah, he always does it. And I think he said that this year too. And I'm like, yeah, you know you signed up. You know you signed up. Although Billy only doesn't he only do Chicago? I don't know that he's done another marathon.
I don't think so. I think he said he has not done another full marathon. He's done a handful of halves.
He's done halves. He did that half. Is it the Mesa? Mesa does a marathon and a half? Yeah, he did
Mesa. Me and him, I met him at Mesa earlier this year.
Okay.
That was.
Did you do the half or the marathon there?
I did the half.
Okay.
For the listener, we're referring to Billy, who is known as I Run Chicago, by the way, so you guys just know who we're talking about. So if you look him up on social media, I Run Chicago. Him and Cynthia are basically the Chicago OGs within the runner world. Everyone, you could probably go on any group run, Cynthia, especially down by Lake Michigan, and run into a runner and just say, "Hey, do you know Billy or Cynthia?" Yeah, there's a good chance they're going to say yes to one of them. So,
well, for the longest time, Billy and I were running the same route, and I couldn't believe we never saw each other. We never saw each other, and we were always on the same route. But I was the morning trek, and he was the afternoon trek, so we never saw each other. And then we started seeing each other all the time after I went to his first RunTok party, which was 2 Chicagos ago. He did the RunTok party, and that's where it was like, oh my God, all these people exist in real life. This is crazy.
So actually, let's. I'm going to take advantage of you being here right now, Cynthia. Me and Chase are officially in for Chicago next year. Carolyn's going to find out her good news in December. But we booked our hotel.
Oh.
And I'm hoping I gave Chase good advice. I'm pretty sure I did because I've stayed at this hotel before, but let's see what you think. We're staying at the Hyatt Regency, which is on East Wacker, so down there by the canal. But yeah, it's relatively close to where the Bean is, right? Like the A Corral area up front.
Oh, yeah.
I think. What are your thoughts on that area?
I think you're golden. I you can't beat that. I mean, comparing that to New York, you're literally going to wake up, do all your stuff, get ready for your race, and walk down to the start line.
Yep.
Like
that's what's up.
Easy peasy. Not only that, if you don't want to, you don't even have to gear check. You know what I'm saying? Because you can just walk back to your hotel when you're done. That's golden.
Yep, that's typical.
Awesome.
So in the past, when I've done the triathlon or the marathon, I always stayed on. Oh God, it's the Hilton downtown Chicago, which is right there across from where the start and the finish is.
Yeah.
But those rooms are just crazy. Like they keep getting more and more expensive every year.
Yeah. Well, they make bank on Chicago for sure.
Oh, heck yeah, they do. Hyatt Regency was still expensive, but not as expensive, and I'm able to use points there. So
yeah, anything up and down that drag on Michigan Avenue by the river you're fine. Like it's easy.
Yep. And we're right by there's a little park kind of behind us where they do like rock climbing wall, and it's
that's Maggie Daly Park.
Yeah, the amphitheater's right there.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go rock climbing after the marathon. It's gonna be awesome.
Maybe not. No, but there's a ton of pop-up shops right there on that drag too. Like you'll be able to hit. I mean, last year the Tracksmith pop-up shop was there. There was a Hoka pop-up. Nike does metal engravings up the road on Michigan. Like there's just tons of stuff. The only thing you're not close to, but no one is the expo. You're going to have to like cab it or public transit it to the expo. But other than that, you're fine.
So that's down by the stadium, right?
Yeah. But it's easy. You'll love it.
Well, you better, even if you don't do it, you better show up anyway, Cynthia.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Is Billy doing another party? Like, am I going to have to step up to the plate? I don't know.
You better.
Yeah. That's. I'm expecting a party now. It's been 2 years that I've had 2 years of FOMO.
All right, I'll say it right here and now. If Billy doesn't do his bash, I will pick up the torch. You guys come on up to Lincoln Park. We'll have a party.
There we go.
I don't know if I can cater as well as he does, though. He has quite a spread at those parties.
Hey, random question. So Carolyn met a big run talker out in California, and her first response to Carolyn was, "Wow, you're really short." So you got to meet Carolyn for the first time in person.
I think I said the exact same thing. I think I said it to Billy. I was like, "Dang, Carolyn's short. I did not know that."
Yep. And I
did not know that.
That 0.5 on the camera is amazing. Okay.
I feel like you're really tall on a treadmill. So
that's what, but I'm 5'2", and people are like, okay, sure. And I'm like, I'm not lying.
I did not know that. I'm 5'5", and I was like, wow, Carolyn, she's short.
I'm little.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But no, that party was amazing too, because it's like, I mean, people can be super outgoing, and then you put us all in the room, and we're just, like staring at each other. We're like,
It's just weird when they come out from behind your phone.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's super weird. Like, Milo's a giant. Did you meet Milo at the party?
yes,
Underestimated?
yes,
Giant. He's literally a giant. And he and Jess, who hosted the party with Billy, did Jess do the 5K? She didn't do the marathon this year, but she did it the year before. She's a giant too. So they're both giants, and they made me feel short, and they must have made you feel short, Carolyn. But I met them at Heartbreak Hill Running, which is literally just down the road from my house. And not that it takes any amount of talking to get me to buy swag, but Jess was wearing this awesome bomber jacket from Heartbreak. And I was like, oh my God. And she's like, let's just go because I met them at Starbucks. Let's just go get it for you. And I was like, yes, we will. Yes, we will. We went right back down and bought it for me.
Well, Billy hooked us up too. I think I still have my beanie from the RunTok party.
I do too.
And it was like Billy had beanies, he had wristbands, he also
had a raffle, and I won shades.
Yeah,
I won like these polar shades. I was like, dang.
Yeah.
Stuff. I love me some stuff. Chase is jealous. Look at him.
Chase and Jake are jealous. So.
It's like,
well, if I have to take over this party, that means I got to provide swag and food.
Yeah,
a raffle, a giveaway. Dang.
Yeah, one up sure. If you're gonna do it.
That's a lot of pressure.
If you're gonna do it, you got to do it big. You got to do it right.
Maybe you can get Kelvin Kipton as a guest speaker.
Oh man, come on!
Spitballing ideas here.
Come on. I could throw a bag over. Galen Rupp was at Heartbreak Hill the year before, and I think Milo met him. I could grab Galen Rupp and drag him in. He's probably bigger than me, though. Maybe not.
I actually had a negative interaction with Galen Rupp 2 years ago.
Oh, I've had no interaction with Galen Rupp. How did you have a negative one?
Well, he competed in the Gate River Run here, and the team that I run for, they put on the Gate River Run, so we automatically get an elite corral start. Our team does. So I got to start with Galen Rupp and all the fast guys that were there, and I tried. It wasn't a negative interaction, but it was one of those where I tried to I gave him a fist bump, try to do that, and he just looked at my fist and just walked away and didn't do anything.
Left you hanging.
Totally left me hanging. I was like, all right, I immediately am not a fan of you right now.
Yeah, so now you're like, I don't like you. I was in New York at the expo. I had to drag my daughter to the expo, she's in college now in Manhattan. So she came with me to the expo, and she's like, yes, we'll go to the expo, but then we'll go do something else. You know what I mean? She didn't want, so I was rushed at the expo, but we were standing in line. I was just standing in line to get supplies like gels and stuff like that. I already had them, but and there was an elite runner in front of us. I couldn't tell which one he was, but I was like, Maggie, that's an elite runner. And she's like, I literally don't care. I was like, oh my God. She's like, go find someone else to tell. I literally don't care. And I'm like, but you can tell. This is how you can. She's like, I do not care. I was like, okay. Elite runner.
Did you ever find out who it was?
I did not. I never saw. They lost. My husband was watching the race for part of it because he didn't hook up with me until like mile 17 and mile 24. So they went back and watched the start of the race. But the TV, like the network, lost the feed on the race. So halfway through the race, they lost it and they never got it back. They went to like race car. So you couldn't watch the race in Manhattan. So I never saw the pack. I just never saw it. You know what I mean? So I just don't know.
That's weird. So at Chicago,
it was weird.
At the start line, did you see they had that big TV so you could kind of see the lead pack as you were getting to the start line? That was so cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. And if they had that at New York, I absolutely missed it. New York is so spread out because like the first wave goes out at 9 and the last wave goes out at 11:30. So it is so spread out. You know what I mean?
I got some pretty good shots of like them. They had some big screens over the starting line in Berlin as they were introducing the elites, obviously Kipchoge and the other top athletes as the elites were getting ready to go. And we were all, it was a madhouse getting into our A corral, but it was pretty cool.
So Cynthia, what I'm hearing is even if you don't race Chicago, you'll at least be able to watch me and Chase on the big screen with the elite pack, where we're going out.
Well, mile 10 goes right by my townhome. So usually I go out and I cheer everybody on. But you know what I might do if I don't run it? I've never volunteered. Like, wouldn't it be cool to do an aid station there?
Yeah,
I feel like that would be cool. I've never done that.
it would be. We
You
talked
just said
about
it.
Carolyn, you did some pacing recently.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
yeah.
I've thought about doing something similar. So yeah, getting involved with helping out.
Pacing is so much fun. Just don't do it in the summer. So I don't care if it's in the dead of winter. Pace. Just don't. Nope. Nope.
I have mad respect for pacers, and there's no world where I would be able to do it. I would feel bad if I missed you know what I'm saying? Like, what if you miss your pace and people are like relying on you? You know what I mean? I have mad respect for pacers.
It would have to be hard because I'm not gonna lie, I've been mad at some pacers before. Like when we did the Geneva, Illinois, the last chance PQ race, I ran with the pace group and a pacer. They're quicker pacers. They were pacing us for a 250, but I was really, really mad because the pacing was just way off. It wouldn't have made a difference. I was injured and tapped out, but
Was it fast or slow?
it was fast.
Mm.
Yeah,
And that's what I typically see or hear about is pacers being too fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can kind of talk about that. So they tell us we can bank up to a minute of time, but if there's hills later in the course, if you're fatigued and stuff, you've got extra time at the end to slow down, stay with the pace, and still nail it. That's not the smartest thing to go out too fast and then expect people to just coast with you the rest of the way, but that's some pacers mentality. But yeah, anything over a minute is a no-go.
So you said does that mean you were pacing as a part of a group that's experienced and does this on a regular basis?
Yeah. So these are like the guidelines is you can't go over a minute of banked time, but obviously pacers don't listen to that.
And how, I'm just trying to understand how close to your like marathon or your race pace was the pace that you were pacing for?
So I paced the 2 hour and 10-minute group, and you can't go. Okay, so my PR is a 144. The fastest I could pace is a 155 because that's 10 minutes slower than my PR or my most recent half in that case. And you have to submit your 3 most recent half marathon times, and then automatically they drop you 10 minutes or more. So if you're a 2 hour marathoner, that's your PR, pace 210 or slower.
2 hour marathoner. That's the PR.
So Kipchoge's going to pace the 210 group next year.
I guess so.
But no, for your half marathon time. For marathon time, same gig. I believe it's 10 minutes, maybe 20. But they definitely don't want you hitting a wall.
Do pacers get do you apply through a different entry? Like, do pacers get a guaranteed entry? How does that work?
Yeah. So for the pacing company that I got into, I filled in an application, submitted my marathon and half marathon times, submitted the area that I lived in, and I was accepted. I know it's a lot harder to pace now, but every week or two I get an email with openings, and they're all over the country. So I paced one in Fort Worth earlier this year. But seriously, if I wanted to board a plane, they would help with my hotel costs. They do room share. They don't help with flight, but they pay for your entry. They give you a pacing shirt, and they provide the pacing stick, flag, or balloon. So
and you
that's pretty cool. I did not know that.
Right?
Yeah, you still get the medal. The race I paced, the medal was like a dinner plate size. So.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been actually considering that lately. Like that sounds. Ever since I kind of ran a race for fun, it's kind of been in the back of my mind. Like that seems like the best way to do it.
I can give you information about my pacing team. They're always taking openings, and I mean, I know they need a lot of help in the Midwest area. So if
Right on.
anybody's interested, podcast team or listener, I can help you out.
There you go. If you're interested in pacing, hit Carolyn up.
Yeah, absolutely. Just make sure you hit the times that you're pacing, or they will take you off the pacing list.
Don't want to take Carolyn off the good vibes list.
No, I'm currently on the nice list. So
speaking of teams, Cynthia, I'm gonna again take advantage of you being here right now. Are you going to join? Not to put pressure on you, but are you going to join our Believe in the Run Winter RunTok Live Challenge? I don't know what it's called, Chase. I'll let you speak to that more. But
give me the deets. What do you got going on?
We haven't really discussed it ourselves, but
Nope.
I mean, why not plug it? So this past summer, we kind of did the Believe in the Run Summer Grit Challenge. If anybody's familiar with Believe in the Run, they're another organization that does newsletters. That it's all things running. They do amazing shoe reviews, all that. But they have two big competitions every year. One in the summer, one in the winter. We did put together a team for Summer Grit. I was injured. A couple of us were injured, so we really didn't get as serious as we wanted to. But they did just announce Winter Grit is coming, so we're going to do another team. We're going to do another RunTok team. And Winter Grit is the month of January. So it is a fantastic way, a fantastic extra motivator to help you hit those New Year's resolutions. Start the year off right.
So what's the goal? Is it a mileage goal or what?
So there's a variety of different goals, and it's all virtual. So, you sign up. There's swag that you get.
I'm in.
There's
swag.
Yeah, so there's swag that you can purchase extra, and then on top of that, they give away prizes every week: Chloros watches, Garmin watches, Running Warehouse gift cards, that sort of thing. So it's just a lot of fun. Like I said, it's a virtual event that lasts a month. You log your miles, and you kind of choose your mileage goal. There's no you don't get penalized for not hitting your mileage goal. There's nothing, it's a participation thing. So,
and is it a team thing or is it an individual thing?
Yeah.
It's both, right?
Team, but yeah, you can have a team too, and there is team goals. And I'm not sure if there's any extra benefits to having a team other than just bragging rights. But this past summer was the first time that I've ever done a team.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I have a half marathon the first week in February. So, and I'm a winter runner. Like I go out there.
Me too.
No matter what. I don't care. I've got all the gear in the world. It can be 10 below. I'm out there.
I love running in the cold. Love it.
Yep. Same. I'm in.
So you guys are crazy.
We'll get right on. We'll get the RunTok Live team together for Winter Grit as soon as it launches. I think they said the 24th, so about 10 more days.
That race, Chase, have you heard of the F3 or no? It's a half marathon. It starts and ends at Soldier Field. They open Soldier Field for the gear check.
That one. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a half marathon. It's an out and back. 1 year I ran it. It was 0 at the start line. 0. And there was a guy with just shorts and running shoes.
There's always
no t-shirt, just shorts and running shoes. And I was like, you're going to die. I was in full winter gear. You know what I mean? Full.
The wind chill for the 2016 Indianapolis Monumental, I think, was like in -15. And there was people out there in shorts and tanks. And it's
I will never understand that. And that's the thing.
I get it. I love the traditional running gear. I'll wear shorts down until it's like in the 20s when I'm training. And when I'm racing, I'll probably wear shorts down to, I don't know, the teens maybe, but there's a line and
you feel
0 is definitely
that's what I say. That negative stuff, like if my face isn't covered, it feels like you're getting bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you
It's
feel
awful.
that. Yeah.
And you got to deal with it more up there in Chicago with the
Well,
wind
that's the
and
thing.
everything.
I'm right on the lakefront. So when the wind kicks up on the lakefront, it is cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get that. What's that called? The lake effect.
Yeah.
We got that in New York too, quite a bit, especially up by the Finger Lakes. We're always getting lake effect stuff. I turned into a hermit in the wintertime. So that's why I spent so much money on my treadmill. I bought it in New York, and that's what I ran on it in the wintertime was a treadmill. Of course, I bought it like 3 months before I moved here to Florida. So now it's been sitting in my garage and I've used it like 3 times,
Well, see,
maybe.
I don't know how you Florida runners do it because I ran the Miami Marathon and I literally crawled across that finish line. It's the worst marathon time I've ever had. I thought I was going to die, and I thought I was going to die at the half. You know what I'm saying? And Miami Marathon has a half and a full. Never have I wanted to bail out at that half so much because I trained in the winter. I trained cold and ran hot, and I will never do that again. I don't know how the humidity. I was like, I'm literally going to die out here.
So I'll say this, everyone is right. And the science is right. Like you run faster in the colder weather than you do in the hot, humid weather. That's true. And my times definitely took a dip. I've been down here for almost 3 years now. I've not ran my times yet that I ran in New York, not even close. And it was a pretty quick turnaround. I went from running 1640 in the 5K in New York to literally 4 weeks later, I ran my first 5K in Florida, and I couldn't even break 18 minutes at that point in time. And it was the humidity. But I was miserable running those times in New York because I hated the weather. Here, I'm happy. I'm not running the times I want to run, but I feel happier at the same time. Like I don't know, and I get to race 365 days a year if I wanted to here. You know, in the wintertime, New York, it shuts down. You know, there's one racing season. It lasts 5 months. Here, it's racing season every weekend. And that's what I love. That's my shameless plug to move to Florida, listeners.
I was going to say, respect. I watch Jenny. I don't know where she is in Florida. I'm not a Florida person, but that girl sees crocodiles on her runs, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah, I think
Tampa, I think, right?
Yeah, I think she lives in the Orlando-ish area.
Nope. I'm not running by. I don't know. Is it a crocodile or an alligator? I don't know the difference.
It's an alligator.
Alligator.
It's an alligator. Okay. Yeah. She'll run by and film it, and I'm like, no, thank you. That's a no, thank you.
Knock on wood. I live in northern Florida. I haven't seen alligators on my runs, but what I do see constantly, and I'm scared to death of them, is snakes.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's a no, thank you.
Yeah, and then I call them the kamikaze lizards that are here. They're the little miniature lizards. They're like this big, and there's hundreds of them. They just jolt across the sidewalks when you run. They'll bang into your feet. And you're just, before it was weird, now I'm just
no, thank you.
Kamikaze lizards is what they're called.
I got ran into by a squirrel one time.
Oh,
that's what I was going to say. The biggest thing we deal with is squirrels up here, right?
I had never seen a black squirrel until I went for a run in Chicago one time.
I was going to say, I do see those. I don't know why I see those, but they do exist.
It was the strangest, well, not the strangest thing. I live near a community that actually has white squirrels, so.
That I haven't seen.
Yeah.
But, it's not an alligator, so.
Yeah.
How does a squirrel accidentally run into someone, too? Because I guarantee you that squirrel saw you coming. Have you seen
those things, man? They bounce all over the place. They don't even know where they're going.
He saw you coming. That was definitely premeditated. I'm pretty confident it was premeditated. It's like, I'm going to take this guy out.
Yeah.
This guy's not going to run on my path again. Anyways. Carolyn, are you wearing a sweatshirt too? You're in Dallas. Knock it off.
Yeah, it's cold. It's in this. Okay.
I'm sorry. What does Dallas cold look like? Can you 60s? Bring that in for me?
You said 60s, right? Did you say 60s?
Yeah, I did.
I'm judging.
Let's see what it is right now.
Oh yeah, it's 62, But honestly, I'm cold all the time. Like, I ran in shorts today and it felt great, but I'm just cold all the time. So
I'm a cold all the time person too.
yeah, I mean, I've had my levels checked and everything's normal. And my nurse practitioner looked at me and she goes, I think it's you. And I was like, that hurts, but I needed to hear that.
No, I feel that. I'm one of those people, my fingers are always cold.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And my kids, when they were little, they used to touch me and say, Mommy's a vampire. And I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm just a cold person. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side. I'm pretty warm. My wife hates it because I always have to have the bedroom like freezing cold.
Cynthia, I don't remember if you remember or not, but or no, if you remember or not. So the last time we all actually spoke to you as a group was when we were doing those live sessions on TikTok, and one of your kid came up, or one of your kids came up in conversation, and we were talking about you being famous on TikTok, and has your kid realized that yet? Has that changed?
Like on the hold on one sec, Andy. I'm sorry, my husband's computer just started making noise, and I was like, oh my God, make that stop. When we were at the expo, I just ran into so many people who I knew digitally, and my daughter's just like, oh my God, get me out of this place. Like, your people are here and it's weird and I don't like it. Like, they still think it's weird and they don't like it.
How many people did we run into at the Indianapolis Expo that knew who we were, Jake?
Well, I had two people take pictures with me. Remember one? Oh no, you weren't there. After I left you guys at the starting line, you and your friend, I was walking back with my family, and one girl pulled me aside and recognized me. I posted a picture on TikTok. She pulled me aside. She recognized me. And goes, see, I told you I'd be here. And I couldn't remember who it was. So I had to. But anyways, I took a picture with her. And then later on that day, I was down at the circle, they call it, I guess. And there was someone there that recognized me. So I usually get a couple. Yeah,
I get recognized sometimes when I'm downtown in Chicago too. I had a friend in town from San Francisco with her kids, and her kids are the same age as my kids. And they all follow me on TikTok. They think it's a hoot to follow mom's friend Sin on TikTok. And they're like, do you ever get recognized? I'm like, not really. And we were literally walking down the street, and a guy came out of the parking garage and goes, oh my God, you're that runner girl. You're such an inspiration. And I was like, I am an inspiration, people. Come on. I mean, I couldn't have timed it better. I was like, let me go pay that guy. Because they had literally just asked if I ever get recognized. And then, boom, we turned the corner and there it was. It was perfection. She was so mad. She's like, oh my God, I can't even take this.
It was kind of funny. 2 nights ago, we went to the grocery store, me, my wife, and my daughter. And we're at the checkout line, and it's this high school kid. And the high school kid recognizes me. And he goes, yeah, I follow you on TikTok. You're he called me Mr. Run, because on my TikTok, I have my Mr. Run license plate that goes on there. Because you're that Mr. Run, right? And I was like, yeah. And he starts talking to me, and it was neat. We talked about him doing cross country, etc. And then I walked out with my wife, and my wife just looks at me and she goes, you love this, don't you? And I was like, it was kind of neat. Like a little bit. I just got recognized by a complete stranger at a grocery store. Like, that's kind of cool. I don't know. I joked back with her and I said, hey, babe, your wife's or your husband's kind of a celebrity. I hope you can handle that. You know, a celebrity husband. Not really. Cynthia over here, by the way, for the listener, has 100, last I checked, like 102,000 followers on TikTok alone. I don't even know on your other social media accounts. We got a combined total between the three of us, I think, of like 12,000.
Maybe.
Like, altogether.
I feel like I have been on Instagram since the beginning of time. I feel like I was one of the original people on Instagram because I started in blog land. I used to have a blog, but it wasn't about running. I would just blog about my kids. So I remember when Twitter launched. Like I was on Twitter right at the very beginning because I was at a blog conference and it was in Chicago, and Twitter had a little table. And I remember walking by and they were like, "Oh, hey, we have this thing." It wasn't even an app. It was a desktop because we didn't have apps on our phones yet. You know what I mean? So, hey, sign up for Twitter. And so I did. And then after that, Instagram came along, and I remember signing up for the account and not posting. I had no understanding of what it was. And then somebody hit me up on Twitter and said, "We're eagerly awaiting your first Instagram post." And I was like, "What? There are people over there?" Like, I had no idea. No idea.
But did you buy any Twitter stock back then?
I did not. I did not. And I didn't. Once I started Instagram, I bailed on Twitter completely. So I don't play Twitter. But Twitter was like kind of the first app. Do you know what I mean? Like micro blogging is what they called it. Micro influencing versus having a full blog and a website. You know what I mean? So I feel like Twitter was at the beginning of that. And Facebook was there at the same time, but then Instagram came along and it was before Facebook bought it.
Yeah. It was like Facebook was like a place for you to have your own space to share with other people, whereas Twitter, I like the term that you microblogging, like it was.
Yeah.
Did you ever
a
have
place
a
for people to go and just voice their opinions? And then Instagram came, and it was supposed to be like the photography, filmmaking version.
Yes,
of all that.
That's when I was on Instagram when it was about photos.
Mm-hmm.
It is not that anymore. And yes, I had a MySpace. And I mean, remember the days of MySpace? I remember sitting at my computer and like crafting my MySpace page.
Heck
That's me. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know if it still exists. But I remember MySpace. I was all over MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace was, I don't know. I miss it a little bit because I miss being able to design my own page.
Yeah. It was all about designing.
It was interesting
your page.
it was like an intro to coding
Carolyn's
type
like,
thing.
"What are you talking about?"
Carolyn has no idea. That was Wabe.
So it became popular when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
Nope.
I wasn't allowed to have MySpace, wasn't allowed to have Facebook until my senior year of high school. And it wasn't because I had like helicopter parents. It was the world is creepy. And my parents were like, when you're an adult, you can make that decision for yourself. So I was 18 when I created my Facebook.
Well, thank you for making the rest of us feel old, because pretty sure Facebook came out when I was probably 3 or 4 years into college is when Facebook came out.
I was going to say, Facebook was not a conversation I had to have with my parents when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because it didn't exist.
I feel like Facebook came out 3 or 4 years into my college, so I think you might be a little bit older.
When there was still AOL dial-up. I remember that much.
Oh, I remember AOL dial-up. I have that sound in my head now.
And there was that AOL chat. Like that was the big thing.
We used ICQ. Did you guys have ICQ? That was a chat thing that we used. My sister still uses it to chat with her best friend as like a like a throwback sort of way. They could easily just text, but they use this ICQ chat.
And if Carolyn didn't warn you, Cynthia, we have zero script when we do these RunTok Live podcasts, and we often go off the running subject and talk about something completely random like this.
Oh, so. I can legit talk social media and the past until the end of time, because I feel like I was on literally all of it. And there's one I can't remember. And Jacob, I think you're my best bet on remembering it. Yeah. There were 2 social media platforms that predate Twitter. One was called Create Buzz, and that was CRE, and then the number 8, and then the word buzz.
Okay, I don't remember that one.
And we were all on Create Buzz, and we thought that was cool. But then there was another one, and this one was for all of us weirdos, and I was a weirdo. We all watched Lost. Remember Lost? And I watched Lost in the moment. I was obsessed with Lost.
We've talked about Lost on here before, yeah.
I had charts I had timelines. You know what I'm saying? Like I had graphs and yarn. Like I needed a help group. But all of us folks were on this weird social media platform, and it was like a stream, and it lived on your computer, and you could jump in. And one girl would start the Lost stream, and it would just cascade down of all of us talking as it was on. You know what I mean? But then that platform went away, and I will never think of the name of it. But I would just go on it once a week.
It wasn't Friendster, was it? So it was
No,
Friendster.
I remember that one though.
Man, it sounds
No, it was
like
this
Reddit.
weird. It had a stream, like the conversations. It was like a river. You know what I mean? And then it was like you'd jump on the Lost boat, and then you just go down the river in the Lost conversation, but you wouldn't see the other ones.
Was it? There was Second Life. I don't know if you remember Second Life.
I don't know that one.
Wasn't that one? All right, it's Friendster.
I feel like us Lost people were the only people keeping that weird social media platform alive.
I'm gonna look it up now. It's gonna bug me.
I have tried.
You guys are
Googling
predating me now. I don't know.
If you find that
I'm in the corner
platform,
with Carol
I will
over
laugh
here.
out loud because I'll remember the name if someone says it. But heck, if I can remember it. But all of us Lost people were like, ah.
Did you know that? So there used to be. I don't know if it's still there. There used to be a site. A very shallow site. It was called Hot or Not. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't know that one,
and
but
Hot or Not,
I know what it is. I'm guessing.
yeah, and Hot or Not is actually what sort of derived into Facebook, or at least gave the idea.
That's what I thought.
For Facebook. Yeah. But it was obviously a very shallow. You know, you literally rated people if they were hot or not, and that was
yeah.
really
That's I believe how Facebook started, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it started. So, yeah, God, going down a rabbit hole of all these social media platforms and making Carolyn feel really young.
That's what I was going to say. I was on every single one of them. I don't really know why, but
So,
yeah.
Since we're talking about influencing, we're kind of all influencers. What do you think is like? What's the one right now? I mean, obviously we're all on TikTok, but what's like the hot one right now?
Honestly, I don't think the next one has come along yet. I think TikTok is still the hot one. But this is my theory, at least. Social media platforms, they go like this. You know what I mean? They have a wave. I think TikTok's still up here. I think Instagram's down here. I think Facebook's down here. You know what I mean?
Right.
But TikTok's still up here. And the reason I say that is because you can still get organic engagement without putting paid behind it, which doesn't exist at all on Facebook anymore, and is very rare on Instagram. You can still organically grow on TikTok. They'll close that door eventually because that's just how platforms work. They want more money, and so they start locking down engagement. I don't think – here's the thing. You can't get – this is my whole soapbox. You can't become more successful than the thing you're trying to imitate. So the next thing has to be new. You know what I mean? And I'll use Threads as an example. Threads was just a carbon copy of Twitter. So it's not it's not going to do better than Twitter because it's not anything new.
Yeah.
And I watched Threads. I did jump on it just to test it. But Threads, I believe, within the first month, lost 70% of its users. It was the big thing for a moment, and then everybody went back to the other platforms they use.
Right. I mean, I'd hoped, you know, when Threads launched, my hope for it was that it would get Instagram back to being a more photography and artsy centric platform. Not saying that it's not, but you see a lot of things that I feel like are they're a little more cheap or a little bit more like something you want to see on TikTok. And you know, I feel like the platforms should be separate, and I wish Instagram was still a little bit more artsy and some of the more like micro blogging and micro vlogging, that type of thing can stay on TikTok.
Yeah, Instagram, I think they lost a piece of its personality when they brought in stories, because they were really trying to be Snapchat, because they tried to buy Snapchat and Snapchat shut them down. So they launched stories to compete with Snapchat, and then they launched Reels to compete with TikTok, and they
Right.
were trying so hard to be TikTok. It was like, where did Instagram go? You know
and
what I
now
mean?
they're trying to be Twitter or X.
Yeah, exactly. It's very I feel like Instagram has too many tools in the belt now. You know what I mean? What's the goal of the platform? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They pushed Reels so hard, and then they backed way off of that. And now I feel like more than anything on that platform, I see carousels. I don't know if that's what's getting engagement now, but I still feel like that platform is lost because it's just not. It has not landed on where it used to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yet a lot of brands still like people to use it.
I think the reason brands are on it is because of the Facebook Business Suite.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's used to advertising on Meta. So I think big brand spends still go to Meta because it's what they know. I think that the TikTok ads platform, which I don't use for my personal feed, but I do use it on work feeds, the TikTok ads manager is far superior to Meta. A lot of brands want, I'm sorry, we've totally jumped the shark from running. But really quick, I will say that TikTok has a product where you can do growth. So brands can put money into a growth campaign for their feeds. They don't have that product on Meta. So you have to go for a views campaign and hope that it results in growth of the feed. You know what I mean? So if you're doing a paid campaign, TikTok will far surpass the money you spend than the Meta spend.
Yeah, no, it's totally cool that we got off the running topic because I mean, like I said, we're all influencers. That's where we all met. So, and that's what we talked about whenever we had you on our little live stream. Whenever we did that earlier this year, probably I don't remember.
Yeah.
It seems like so long ago, but we did talk about this, and I remember you. You were giving us some advice on Instagram whenever they were starting to do their paid subscription things.
Yeah.
Did you actually do that?
I did not, and I'll tell you why. It wasn't the subscription thing, it was the blue check mark that I was going to jump on.
Yeah.
But they beta tested that blue check mark because I did watch it. They beta tested the blue check mark, I think in Europe. Might have been Australia now that I think about it. They beta tested it somewhere, and they gave it an engagement boost if you paid to play. But they got blowback from the community saying, well, if you don't want to pay, you don't get any engagement, and that's not fair, and blah, blah, blah. So they brought the blue check mark to the United States, but they removed the extra engagement piece. So the piece that I wanted from the blue check mark got taken out of the equation. So I was like, well, why am I paying for this? You know what I mean? If it's not giving me anything, it's just a vanity check mark. That I don't need that. And I had a couple friends who did buy it, and they said, yeah, there's no difference. But Facebook did make the announcement that they removed that piece of it when it came to the States. Which I think was a mistake. But yeah, that's just me.
Just another reason why I'm not super active on Instagram.
Instagram's a really tough place.
Yeah.
It's hard to grow. I feel like Meta actively works against its users. It's like an adversarial relationship over there, and I don't feel that way on TikTok.
Yeah. Well, speaking of social media and running, not that I want you to give away all your trade secrets, but what are some tips that you could give to our listeners that are trying to grow their running content?
I've got your answer. Consistency. You have to commit to posting, and the more you can post on TikTok. I know that a lot of folks say this, but I test it all the time. Right now, I'm posting 2 to 3 times a day on TikTok, and the feed gets more play. It's like you're feeding I'm going to use this example, and my daughter thinks I'm a terrible person. If you feed your cat, it will grow. Okay. So if you keep feeding your cat, it will keep getting bigger. So every time you post, you're feeding the cat. You know what I mean? you're getting engagement on that post. Then you post another post, and that post is getting engagement. And TikTok reads that as, oh, this feed's active. People are interested in this. And your content gets pushed out to a wider audience. Now, that content can't just be a picture of your toe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be something. But like, if I go on a run, if I'm thinking something, like when I went on a run the other day and people had asked me to compare and contrast the Chicago Marathon, I'll whip out my phone and say, hey, this, that, this, that. And then I'll edit it together in CapCut, because sometimes I get lost and I'm like, I don't want the in there. So I'll edit it down. But that TikTok was 2.5 minutes, which is long for me because I don't usually post that long. But then I also had a post where I just showed myself running. That's the other thing I'm going to say is I put words in text and cut a couple clips together. So I'll say something in text, I'll talk to the camera, and then maybe I'll also show something. Like the last 3 posts I think I have, one of them is text, which is me doing something. One of them is my 3 medals, you know what I mean, with words on it. And then one of them is me talking to camera. So vary your content and try committing to at least a once-a-day posting schedule. You'll absolutely see growth.
Good stuff.
I enjoy TikTok, though. It doesn't feel like work. I'm also completely obsessed with CapCut. It's the best editing platform on the planet. It's owned by TikTok, and it's just super fun.
Do you do everything? Do you do everything on your phone, Cynthia? All the editing?
Yeah, I do. Other folks have told me they like InShot, but I'm a CapCut girl.
You use CapCut, right, Chase? Like that's kind of or at least it used to be.
Yeah, it used to be. Right now I'm kind of locked into an Adobe subscription, so I'm using a lot of Premiere Pro right now. And I enjoy it. Again, you know, I kind of enjoy the artsy side of it. Like I've enjoy filmmaking and doing that, all the editing that goes along with it. So that's why I don't post as much as, you know, a lot of people do. But CapCut's very good. And there's a reason that it's grown as much as it does. You know, all the best templates come from CapCut, or all the most trending templates come from CapCut. So, yeah, and the fact that TikTok is directly associated with it is a big reason why, but definitely a good platform.
Oh, sorry. I had a frog in my throat there. Well, cool. God, we're at 1 hour and 7 minutes, guys.
I told you I could talk forever, so.
Well, no, I'm glad we got to the social media aspect of things too. You know, like I said, that's where we all met. And yes, we talk about running a lot, and we talk about some other things a lot, but you know, let's not forget this too. You know, it's kind of home. TikTok is home.
I agree with that.
And ironically,
I feel like I wonder sometimes, because I don't know, because RunTok is the community that I'm in, but I wonder, like, is Book Talk this way, or Recipe Talk? I don't even know if Recipe Talk's a thing, but you know what I'm saying? Like, are there other communities, and are they like this?
So for sure, like, I can actually speak to that, because like my wife never used TikTok before I started posting on TikTok, and then when she finally decided to watch my TikToks, then she started using it. And now she is just a money saving guru now, and that's who she follows on TikTok, is all these money saving people that do cash envelopes or this kind of spreadsheet, and it's all.
See, I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's all some kind of financial TikTok group. So, just pretty cool. It's a great platform.
Yeah,
I mean, we've really had.
I think that's really cool.
I know it catches a lot of flack at times in the media, but I mean, we've had some really good experiences, and I like to think that we're good ambassadors for the RunTok community.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You're one of the OG ambassadors too, Cynthia. It's
show.
Yeah, you definitely. Well, I feel like kind of like you, Cynthia. I think a lot of people started their RunTok quote unquote journey via COVID. Right. That's kind of where people had more time and space to do it was during that time frame, and it just exploded since then. And
I agree with that. Yeah.
that explosion has not slowed down now. That explosion has just led to just additional growth.
Don't you also feel like, I feel like look what happened in Boston this year with the qualifying and 11,000 people who qualified not getting in.
We talked about
that.
this too. Yeah.
I think that directly correlates with the pandemic and the rise of running in general, right?
Sure. That's what I
Times have
said.
gotten
Yeah.
faster. There's more people running, and I think that directly correlates with the pandemic.
Right. We
Chase
And
talked
it
about
ties
that.
into RunTok too.
Yeah,
We talked
Chase
about
brought
that
up
on
that
the-
exact point. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of people were painting it as a negative thing, but it's not. It's a positive thing. That just shows you how popular running has gotten and how serious people are taking it. More and more people are trying to run fast. And yeah, that's a bummer for some people that aren't going to get into Boston now, but it should be a motivation for you to step it up. They work harder.
Firmly believe,
You got to
and
work harder.
I said this in New York, and I think I said it to Milo and Billy. There's a unicorn for everyone. There are many ways to get into Boston, and if you want it, you can do it. You know what I'm saying? So if it's not the qualifying time, maybe it's a charity. If it's not the charity, maybe you're on a team. You know what I'm saying? I did it for a team. But there's a unicorn for everyone. You just got to dig,
Well, and on that note too, Carolyn, you're a perfect example or perfect person to ask this. You're a run streaker. So Carolyn, I was going to ask you the question. You're a run streaker. And my question is, do you think you would have taken your run streak as serious had it not been for social media, for TikTok, for the platforms that we're on now? Would you still be doing a run streak if you have nothing to document, to the world about your run streak?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't post about it every day because it's not for other people. Now, I don't know if I would have kept going. There's a very active Facebook group, and having my streak on a website that people can view is definitely keeping me going. But that's a good question.
And I would think more than documenting it, the support that you get out of it.
That's where I was going at with it, is you get the support and you're inspiring other. I didn't even know what run streaking. I've been a runner since I was 9 years old, and I never heard the term run streaker until I got on TikTok. So that's just another example of the inspiration, or just what the social media platform has done for the running world over the last 5 years.
Yeah, I think the rise in RunTok and the pandemic and just times getting faster and more people entering races, it's all part of the same thing.
Well, and then
good Lord, there were 52,000 runners in New York. 52,000. That is a massive race.
Yeah, and then, what are you going to do? To the point we were just talking about, they're not going to expand that to 60,000, 65,000.
I sure hope not.
The only thing they can do is increase the qualifying standards. That's what else can you do?
Limit the amount of people that they let in what capacities they can.
Yeah, and like Chase said,
I think they're really smart with New York. I think their 9+1 program is really smart because it promotes the New York Runners Organization and it rewards local runners. I think that's nice. A really smart program.
Well,
I feel like Chicago has something similar.
Yeah,
they do. I think you can do the 5K, like the Shamrock.
Yeah, they have
the 5K, the Shamrock, and I think they have a half.
Yeah.
Well, New York it's the only one where you can qualify with a half marathon time, but after this year, they're talking about doing away with that and eliminating the half marathon qualifying standard. And again, that's just because there's too many people qualifying at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
For the Olympic trials, can you still qualify on the half?
Yeah.
You can? Okay.
Yep. It's some ridiculous time, but yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's got to be crazy. The trials qualifying time is 2:17. Then I would think that the half marathon time would be at least 1:05.
I'm gonna look
That's
it up.
insane.
That's insane. I can't even wrap my head around that. I thought it was insane. I mean, how much did you love the finish for Chicago this year? My husband dropped me off. He just drove us down to as close to the start line as I could get, and I hopped out of the car, and he had to deal with traffic coming back because they were closing all the streets. And the last thing I said was, "Oh, watch this guy!" Like Billy's the one who told me. Billy told me the Fleet Feet guy told Kerry Pinkowski, "Oh, get this guy in the race." What's his name? I'm spacing his name. The guy who broke the record.
Kelvin Kipton.
Kipton. I said, watch that guy. He's supposed to be the guy. He's supposed to be the next Kipchoge. That's what I said as I walked out of the car. And my husband said, well, he's going to have to show me something before we call him that. And, then he broke the record. And I was like, is that enough for you? Do we have a GOAT now?
So that's an argument. We didn't actually have that argument. We talked about Kipton breaking the record, but I don't know if we actually talked like GOAT status.
They said it before the race. Like I saw the news the night before and they were talking about him and playing him up and saying he's the next Kipchoge.
Well,
those are big words.
Yeah, he was definitely, set up to run as fast as he did for sure. And don't get me wrong, world record's a world record, fastest man for sure. But I would still consider Kipchoge the GOAT. Kipchoge still, because even though he's got the world record, Kipchoge's still got way more accolades to his name.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I totally agree
has way more notches on his belt. That's what it comes down to.
100%.
Like an insane amount more. Kipchoge didn't even run his first marathon until he was 5 years older than Kipton is now.
That's insane. So. First off, I did not know that, and that's insane.
Yeah. Because he was.
I love that the world record right now is held in Chicago.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
That makes me very happy.
We'll see. He's going to Rotterdam next. I think he's going for sub 2 in Rotterdam.
No way. Are we going to see a sub 2?
I think we will.
I don't know if we'll see it in Rotterdam. I mean, I want to.
I don't know if we'll see it in Rotterdam, but I think we'll see it in our lifetime. I think we'll see it in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Is Rotterdam a flat course?
Yes. So Rotterdam has actually, I made a video about it. Rotterdam's hosted the world record on 3 separate occasions, twice on the men's side and one on the women's side.
I feel like, didn't Berlin have it for a long time? I feel like Berlin had it for a long time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if he does it in Rotterdam, awesome. I mean, I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think he'll do it until after the Olympics. I don't think it'll be until 2025.
Yep.
That's my bet. I'm still making that bet. That's what I called before Chicago, and I'm sticking to it. So.
Well, you called a specific race too.
Did I?
You did. You called Berlin. You called Berlin.
I said Berlin 2025, didn't I?
Yep.
Yeah. Berlin 2025.
So we'll see. You heard it here, folks. Cynthia.
That's my prediction.
All right. Well, guys, I think we're just about done. This time flies when you're having fun and talking with friends here, because we're an hour and 20 minutes in.
No joke, man.
Yeah. I mean, running in social media, you can't go wrong. Throw in friends and alligators, and it's a win.
For sure. Well, right on. Carolyn, you want to tell everybody where they can holler at us at?
Yes, you can find us on Instagram at RunTok Live. You can email us at runtalklive@gmail.com. You can join our Facebook group at RunTok Live. Cynthia, where can people find you, and what races do you have coming up?
I am at Cynthia J. Wheeler. That's WHEELER on both Instagram and TikTok. I would say TikTok is where I'm most active. And my next race is a very cold half marathon in February in Chicago.
No, thank you.
Come on, Jacob. You know you want to.
I absolutely do not.
I'll have to check my calendar and see if I'm open that weekend.
Dude, Chase, look, it's called the F3. It's a fun race. If you like running in the cold, it's made for you.
4.5 hour drive for me. That sounds.
I have to go to Denver for a week I have to go to Denver for a week in 3 weeks actually in December, and I'm not looking forward to that trip at all. No, thank you.
Cold and snow. Waiting for you.
All right, we're still going.
All right,
Should we
guys.
stop?
Let's just stop. Thank you for listening.